What is up, everyone? I wanted to do, like I said in the last video, I wanted to start doing some more YouTube videos and just kind of add more to the channel. Since I haven't done that in a while, I've been doing other podcasts, not really putting any time into my own. So I wanted to do some tonight. And my beard probably looks a little out of shape because I just got out of the hot tub, so it's like all wiry and all over the place. But in this episode, I wanted to show off some of my favorite autographed pictures. I have a binder, probably that thick, inch and a half, 2 inches, of nothing but just autograph photos. Some of them I've sent off, had them signed and sent back. Some of them was just the email request. And the ones that I'm going to show you are some of my favorites, not in any order, like from favorite to least favorite or least favorite to more favorite. It's just some of the ones I have that I think are really cool and really special. I'm going to try to get the camera angles right so I can get them in there and show you the pictures. And if you see one you like, feel free to leave it in the comments. Like, oh, hey, I like that one. That was super cool. Or I don't like that guy, or that guy's stupid, or I do like that guy. So just feel free to leave something in the comments. The first one I think is extremely cool because I got it through just sending an email after, I guess you could say watching a movie, although it had been a few years since I seen it. But once I saw on the database that these people will send you an autograph out of, just a simple email request, I sent the email almost immediately after seeing that. And within about, I think it was about 12 or 13 days, I got something back. But this right here is a little card. You can see the real Coach Jones and the real radio. And if you remember in the movie, he did sign his name just like that. Cuba Gooding Jr. did anyway. But I think that's one of the cooler pieces that I have. The real radio and the real Coach Jones. And, some of you know the real actual radio passed away a few years ago. So I think that makes the piece even cooler. I've seen on eBay where some people have gotten or thrown some of theirs up for sale on eBay, and I'm not going to get into all that whether I think that's cool or not. But they all were, but as you can see, it was personalized, so that kind of takes away from the value anyway. But I guess if anybody can make $5 off something free, they'll do it. And the second picture that I'm going to show you is one that I was excited to get back as well. I didn't think I was going to get it back because he's somewhat of a bigger name, and it was just an email. But this was about 5 or 6 years ago, and I've done some research in the last like month or two and found out that they don't do it anymore. They won't send you an autographed item just by sending an email. You have to send them something, TTM style, prepaid postage on prepaid return postage and all that, and they'll sign whatever you send it and send it back to them. So it's kind of free, but not really free when you pay for the postage. But I got this one through an email. It took a little longer to get back, which is expected because, like I said, he is a little bit of a bigger name and he's more famous, I guess. And he was huge years ago, a big comedian. Everybody knows him from his famous "You Might Be a Redneck." Got a little bit of glare to it, but you can see it right there. To Houston, keep laughing, all my best. Jeff Foxworthy. I was a huge fan of his when I was younger, and I loved his comedy, loved his stand up. It was always a fan of his, and it just seemed like he got really popular and blew up a lot more once he did the Blue Collar Comedy Tour with Ron White, Bill Engvall, and Larry the Cable Guy, who were all extremely successful on their own. But once they came together and did the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, the first one, I must have watched that thing, God, probably 1,000 times. And then, of course, growing up in a trailer park out in the country, I would say his "You Might Be a Redneck" jokes, they all hit home for me, and they were all just dead on and just absolutely hilarious. And his 12 Redneck Days of Christmas, I listen to that every year. They still play it on the radio now, and it's still just as fun now as it was, God, probably 12 or 13 years ago when I heard it. But I think he became more popular to the people who weren't into I guess, redneck comedy once they started doing the blue collar comedy tour. But that's it right there. Jeff Foxworthy, personalized, all my best. And it's on an 8x10, which is pretty cool. And it's not just like a little 5x7. But the next one is a 5x7. And this guy, he may not be the most popular, most well known person, but to me, I think he's one of the most hilarious people there is. Even though nothing he does is about comedy, he's not known for comedy or anything like that. He's known as an actual famous fisherman from TV shows to TV tournaments, that kind of thing. And you might have guessed who I'm talking about, but and he was, I guess, semi-famous when he was doing his pro fishing stuff, but he came even more famous once his blooper reel started surfacing. And you can actually buy, I think, like a DVD or something of his bloopers, and his bloopers are all over YouTube, and they are just absolutely hilarious. Sorry, I'm coughing a lot. I've been sick for the last 4 days. I'm just kind of getting over it, but he's maybe a little bit more known for his bloopers. But this was another one that I got through an email as well years ago, probably at least 6 or 7 years ago. And you may have guessed who I'm talking about already, but if not, Bill Dance. Bill Dance got the little Garmin advertisement there. And I like that it's personalized too. A lot of people don't like their autographs or whatever they get to be personalized. It personally doesn't bother me a bit. I know I've said it on quite a few videos, but personalize it, don't personalize it. I'm not going to be upset either way, and it's not going to bother me at all. But dude's probably more famous for his bloopers than he is for his fisherman stuff, and the hardcore fishermen and pro fishermen probably know him better for his fishing shows and his time on channels and all that other stuff. But this next one is probably one of my top three favorites that I have. It's a 5x7 as well. But this gentleman is extremely famous. He's been in a ton of movies, had his own franchise in the horror movie side of the genre. And I think a lot of people will know him as one of the more scarier people of their childhood. To me, there was nothing scarier than Chucky, but I know a lot of people were afraid of this guy because he comes to you in your dreams, and as soon as you fall asleep, you're done. And that right there may give you a little hint. But if you haven't figured it out, Robert England. Robert England on a nice little kind of postcard, 5x7, if you will. And I was absolutely stunned when I got this back for free in an email. And much like some of the other pictures, I've found out, went back and looked, that they don't do free pictures through the email anymore, which I kind of don't blame them at all, really. And this one right now, I think you can get on his website, and it's for like, I think it's like $25 shipped or something like that. But it's still not bad. I mean, it's Robert England, half himself, half Freddy Krueger, and it's got the silver Sharpie on it and everything. Like, just how freaking cool is that? Like, I mean, come on now, for free, one of the best horror actors there is around, and who terrified so many people's childhood. And I know I was afraid of him, not as much as I was Chucky and Jason. Those were always kind of good movies, but I was never like, oh shit, that's like, oh Jason, come on now. But that was for free through an email, which is mind blowing considering just how mad popular that Robert England is. And if you go to his website, which is on the bottom of this, robertengland.com, and then it's got a cool little advertisement there on the back. If you go to his website, you can actually pick stuff to be autographed, or you can send him something to be autographed, and he will actually have someone take his picture after he's signed and inscribed your item, and you get a picture of him holding the item that they send you that he's already signed, which is like, I don't know of anybody else that does that. I think maybe Tim Curry did, or he used to, but that's like guaranteed. I mean, you get a COA with it, obviously, from his website, but that's like, I mean, you can't get any more authentic than that. And the fact that he has taken the time to sign it and send you a picture of him holding the item that they send you. I mean, you're not going to get anything better than that as an autograph collector. And his prices aren't really that bad considering that you do get all that with it. And as soon as it ships, you get you get the, hey, here's your tracking number, and here's a picture of him holding the item that we're sending you. I mean, come on now, that's just nobody does that. And to get that kind of service from somebody who was as popular as he is, that's kind of mind blowing to me. This next one is a game show host that is retired, and I referred to it as when I put it up when I first started chasing the graph. It was like the second or third thing I ever posted. When you were sick as a kid and you faked sick and you stuck your thermometer in the lamp so the temperature would go up to 160 so you could stay home the next day, you know, your parents weren't going to believe you. Or if you really were sick in the rare case and just didn't want to stay home, then what did you do? You sat on the couch, you did nothing except for you watched The Price is Right. You watched Bob Barker and The Price is Right. And you kind of got into it. You didn't really get into it. You watched it and it was just always on. And it was always Bob Barker signing off, you know, keep the pet population down, have your pet spayed or neutered. And he was a part of my childhood. I didn't realize how big he was a part of my childhood, but he was because every time I stayed home sick, it was the news, Price is Right, and then the soap operas, which I did not partake in the soap operas. We would watch The Price is Right and then go in the bedroom and do something else. Me and my brother did. But obviously, talking about Bob Barker, it's a little dark there with a black Sharpie on a little bit of a darker background, but you can see it right there. Personalized, Hi Houston, Bob Barker. And with some of these, you kind of question, is it authentic or not authentic? But with this one, I sent in an email to it was the actual Price is Right organization somewhere in there, and I thought maybe it was like a secretarial or ghost signed or something like that, but it's been confirmed on different forums and different Facebook groups and stuff like that that Bob Barker doesn't use a ghost signer, and unlike Shaq, who if you mail something to I think it's Mino Mines Sports or whatever and get something back, then it's all ghost signed. Somebody else signs it, he doesn't. But as far as anybody can tell, there's no ghost signer or having someone else sign his pictures for him. So to have an authentic hand signed personalized Bob Barker 8x10 is just pretty awesome considering, like I was saying, he's a big part of my childhood and he was like a big part of television. A lot of people looked up to him, and when he was in Happy Gilmore, I think that just added to how cool you thought Bob Barker was. And once he handled Adam Sandler, I think everybody else, they kind of looked at Bob Barker like, all right, this dude's more than a game show host, even though it was a movie and it's obviously all scripted. And he's probably never even really touched an Adam Sandler. It was just cool to see him in that role as opposed to the game show, very, serious and in a light, fun kind of way. But, to see him in the role in Happy Gilmore and him, just going out there and talking junk and beating up Adam Sandler, I think just made him that much cooler, in my opinion. And this last picture I have coming up, I've showed it a million times, but I'm probably going to show it a little more. And especially with the way with things that have happened recently, as some of you know, Don Kernodle, wrestling legend, wrestled in NWA for years. He wrestled around here in North Carolina a lot. And him and Sergeant Slaughter, who did go on to have a pretty big career in the WWF or WWE, passed away, I guess, about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. And I did an interview with him about a year and a half ago. And we did it at a coffee shop because they had a nice backdrop. And we did it after hours. So it was just me, him, and the owner of the coffee shop in there. And afterwards, we're all sitting around talking. And he was like, I know you're a big autograph collector. He's like, so I brought some pictures for you just to kind of show you or whatever. And there's one he has where he's like in a gi and he has a championship belt and his fist is kind of up. And he signed that one for me, and I was thankful for it. Obviously, I thought it was cool. I was like, "Oh my God, this is Don Canotto. I'm getting his autograph." I'm sitting here talking to him, and so he has this other picture, and he's showing it to me, and he was just rattling off the stats about this match that him and Sergeant Slaughter had against Ricky Steamboat and Youngblood. And he can tell you how many was in attendance, how many they turned away, how many people were standing outside, how many people were trying to stand outside, and all this other stuff. And he was just so proud of it and just so excited to be a part of what happened that night and was talking about it like it just happened yesterday. And he had two or three other pictures with him, but he signed the one for me of him in the gi with the championship belt. And then this other one, I was looking at it and I just kind of slid it over there, which I know a bunch of you have heard the story a million times, but and I wasn't sure if he would sign it or if he didn't, but anyway, he did. He signed it for me. And this is it here. I mean, just how awesome is that picture? I mean, and so this, I guess, like card stock that it's on or whatever, from my understanding, it's like an original um, from back then when that match happened, which was in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is like 20 minutes from where I live, which is kind of cool. And it's like an original in a way. And he signed it for me. And I didn't think too much about it until he passed away. Because for a while I was like, oh, I got to get Sergeant Slaughter on. I got to add Sergeant Slaughter to the other half of it. That would just be so cool. And then after Don passed away, I was like, no, I'm just going to leave it like it is with Don's signature on it only. And me and him stayed in contact after we did the interview together. I talked to him about 4 or 5 times maybe, and but I was like, no, I'm just going to keep his signature on it. But after doing a lot of research for the last like 2.5 weeks, as far as I know, that's the only I guess original print floating around that's signed by either one of them. And I if there's one in existence, I haven't found it yet. I posted in a couple of autograph groups. I've searched eBay, I've searched Amazon, I've searched Google, I've searched Facebook itself in general, and I haven't found anything showing a picture that's kind of an original with one of their autographs on it. So, as far as I know, I have the only one signed in existence. And now that Don's passed away, there will never be another one signed in existence, and that's just absolutely mind blowing. And it makes it one of the more cooler pieces, in my opinion. And I know some people have looked at it and been like, "Oh God, that's kind of a that picture's kind of But to me, it's just so badass. Everything about that picture is badass. And when I was at Don's visitation, and Sergeant Slaughter was there in the family line, and I just walked up to him and, offered my condolences or whatever. And I just wanted him to know that how proud Don was to be a part of what they did that night in Greensboro. And he was just so happy to be, Sergeant Slaughter's tag team partner, and they did it together. So that was an awesome moment to just kind of tell Sergeant Slaughter what Don Cornotto had, the impression he had left on me about what they did together. And I think he appreciated it anyway. But those are some of my favorite signed pictures. It's not all of them by any means, and no particular order. And I showed them and which one's my favorite, not my favorite. But like I said, I wanted to start using YouTube more, and StreamYard makes it pretty easy to go live and then just post straight to it instead of having to do the video, then wait for it to upload, and then share it from there. So StreamYard is making it a little bit easier. And I got some cool stuff with this local wrestling organization in the works, and I think I'll be starting on that this Tuesday. So we got a lot of good things for Chasing the Graph coming. And if you haven't checked the video I did just a few days ago, labeled updates, then check that out, and that'll clue you in a little bit more about what I've got going on. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you see one of the pictures you like or you think's badass, just leave a comment and say, hey, that was pretty cool. And I'd like to hear your guys' opinions on some of the signed pictures that I have and that I showed. And I think the next one I do, I'm going to show some of my favorite autograph cards, because I have a ton. And I don't think I've actually showed any of my favorites yet. So I got some content ideas, going to throw some stuff up and just use the YouTube channel a little bit more. I hope you all have a good weekend, and we'll see you all next time.